Ethereal Synchronicity 444, click clap pow, ready to go. What we got for you today? Well, I'm going to bring you a video on some of the Taurus legends focused around April the 25th and other dates in time. And time's actually something that I'm actually going to proceed to showing you that it's something that's relative to what has been set by us here on Earth. Although, yeah, it plays out throughout the universe. Anyway, yeah, let me wrap it to the full. We've got an 11 degrees emblem on the shirt. Being an astrologer, thought it'd be a nice touch. And the shirt just shows you I'm at business. I'm here to do a job. And I love my job. Not too many people can say that. That's why you make your own job and be your own boss. And find a way to do what you love. Especially if you're a generator. To those who know about human design, they'll know truly what that means. As far as I know, this is what I do, so this is what I'm doing. Get with that. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. All the people that know me, love me, yet to know me and love me. And if you don't, then obviously you probably ain't gonna be here. Let's keep it real, innit? And if you really don't and you're still here, then that's you, innit? Your life. So, yeah, focusing on the April 25th Bulls. Bulls being Taureans. We've got Al Pacino. We've also got, in this lineup, Ella Fitzgerald. And then, chip down here, we got King Louis IX of France. Now, this is where I'm going to get into the part about time, because this guy was born in something like 1214. And if you go back to that kind of time, you're talking about the Julian Calendar. And that's basically connected to Julius Caesar. He must have set the principle for that. And then some of these other charts I've got up here, which you may or may see me like scrolling over slightly, are basically just some of the synchronicities, lined up events or people that they've worked with or things that I'm listening to right now. Take it how you want it. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, picking up from where I left. So I may do that a couple of times because I think it's the best, well, yeah, the easiest way for me to edit without editing facilities. So deal with it, because I got to deal with it. Life, Taurus season, get with the real. Let's talk about Al Pacino, right? One of the king of the bulls. Now, this guy is pretty legendary because his role as Michael Corleone and also as Antonio Montana is one of the most famed, well, yeah, the famed gangster mob movies of all time. And it actually kind of lines up with Saturn. I see this guy's quite a Saturnian character in so many ways. But you know what? Let me flip back to the G because I'm talking about him, but his chart's not on the screen. Okay, Mr. Pacino. If you hear me break out into song or anything, I've got some music on. Hopefully you can't hear it, as a friend of mine knows, because, like, you know, I ain't even try to make money on these videos like that anyway. That's the craziest thing. But copyright and all that, like, I don't know, like, I ain't got rights to this, but it can't stop me from listening to it, because that's what music's for, to be listened to. So anyway, setting up the office. I was saying Mr. Pacino, Al Pacino, Saturnian character. So what do we see in his chart that makes me say that? Well, first and foremost, his sun, smack bang conjunct to Saturn. And then the reason why I found it notable is that this particular Sun and Saturn combo is square dead on to his ascendant, which is at 4 degrees Leo, 4 degrees and 59 minutes. His Saturn's at 4 degrees and his Sun's at 5 degrees. So it's a very tight square and will show up in his character as a person. And I kind of put it down to him coming to greater prominence in his later life. So, I mean, if you check out when the original Godfather came out, I think he was maybe about 32. And when everyone, Scarface came out, he's 42, Uranus opposition and Saturn opposition. So Saturn's quite prominent in this man's life, I believe, and why he's became a renowned figure worldwide and will be even long after he's gone. Anyway, happy 79th, Al. Mr. P. So I did some notes on his chart because Tuesday, like, one thing I noted about these legends, like these Tauruses as well, is that they take time when it comes to doing what they do. I mean, they put time and effort and work in, step by step. I mean, don't get me wrong, yeah, there's definitely an element of natural talent, but I notice, or well, I know with the older stars and the true talent, the cream of the crop and that, they work hard at their craft. So, you know, that's why, like, I'm rocking the shirt, I'm putting work in. This is just part of who I am anyway. I mean, you'll probably see my brother one day, that guy rocks shirts. And I mean, he's always rocked shirts, he's my younger brother, but the guy, like, he just dresses like an official boss, like he was meant to be a boss. That's something else anyway. So I'm just going over my notes and trying to keep my pitch up so that you can hear me, just to make sure that this is worthwhile the time and execution. So you got Neptune in second house. That's the symbol down here that I'm pointing to. And why is that a thing? Well, we're talking about an actor that became prominent from being on the screen and in movies, and Neptune pertains to the 12th house and Piscean qualities of behind, well, I say behind the scenes, the camera being on the screen, the big screen being known around the world. That's definitely one way Neptune can figure, and it's in his second house, which shows that that's something. But it's actually in his third. My bad. Neptune is a slippery character, and as you can see on here, it's actually in his third house. But you know what? It doesn't even surprise me, because the way that he communicates, signs, got Neptune in the third house myself. Forgive me. Kinda sounds muffled. Forgive me if I'm shouting at you. Now, I only even do that just to emphasize the fact that, yeah, I can speak up quite a calm tone, relaxed pitch, and yeah, within myself, and don't have to be really loud. People sometimes say I'm loud, and then other times people say that they can't hear me, they can't understand the word I'm saying, and oh, it's frustrating to another level. But anyway, I put that on the old Tony Montana, kind of like the accent that he did in that film, and just yeah, he was kind of unclear in that he had to repeat himself several times to certain people, and reiterate himself in a plain English, so to speak. So yeah, Pacino, I feel you. Right. I noticed this actual's in a coming to it, even though it's at the bottom of the page. Just me jumping up and down the page, not staying to the rules. It's got part of fortune, opposite Neptune. Part of fortune in Pisces, which also again pertains to films, movies, the big screen, acting, so to speak. Leo and Pisces are definitely characters that I see in terms of the stage and acting. I mean, two different kinds of performing and world of illusion. I say Neptune's the illusion. So the stage and the fantasy and the backdrop of anything that you can create or perceive in your mind, Neptune. The Sun and Leo's the performance and the acting and taking pride in the expression of what it is that you want to say or how you feel. So that's how I've probably got that Pisces and Leo combination. Okie dokie. It's got an Aries midheaven. And I noticed this. It's funny. It's at 21 degrees. And I said this about 21 Savage, as in Mr. Two Guns Up, like in his photos and that. So 21 degrees, 21 Savage. Why is that? Oh, I know what's happened. Okay. Well, that's what it is. So, yeah, Leo, there you go. That's his ascendant. So that can pertain to him being a performer of the highest order. And the sun also being the ruler of his chart, which is in the 10th house. So that can talk to being prominent, especially as you get older after 35 and 40 and working for your position, with Saturn being there as well. It's got Jupiter at the midheaven also, which is quite noticeable. And then, yeah, the grand square I was talking about also has Venus in it, opposite the moon. And then Venus is conjunct Mars. So you've got Neptune square moon, moon square part of fortune, and part of fortune square Venus. And then, you know, that square goes back round. So I think that's a strong configuration on the basis that, you know, it's less than 2-degree orbs with all planets involved and points, because the part of fortune is a point and not a planet, just for those who don't know. Okay, what else did I have to say about Mr. Pacino? He's got the moon trine the midheaven. So he's got his moon in Sagittarius here in the 5th house. Now the moon talks about the thing that you do to feel comfortable. And the moon in the 5th house is someone that could quite easily be an actor or a performer or like to do the stage and that kind of life. So when it's connected to the midheaven in a trine with a 0-degree orb, it's definitely like saying that this guy could be known for his expression. The moon's kind of like an unconscious energy, but in Sagittarius and in this particular alignment, it's definitely going to be brought to the conscious and to the public and to us as we know. He's actually got his Mercury on 11 degrees Aries, and I've actually pointed that out. Oh, so there you go, the shirt again, 11 degrees. And I actually meant to do this a couple of days ago when I think Mercury was actually on 11 degrees Aries. And it's a funny point that for me, because it lines up with Ethereal Synchronicity 444 and the inception time last year. So I'm a solar return this year. Woohoo! And I didn't probably know about both of those. So some of the things that I'm going to actually get to in this video will connect the dot to the dot to the dot. So gone into his moon, gone into his ascendant, gone into his sun. That's something you'd naturally do with a chart. Anything that I think should be covered. Okay, he's got the moon opposite Mars and Venus. Now, I can't remember for sure, but I'm going to guess it's quite a possibility that it might be one of those people, or at least within himself, it's hard to please, hard to satisfy. And maybe like it might bring out a perfectionist streak in him, because the moon is what makes you feel comfortable in the kind of needs and necessities that you need to fulfill to feel like yourself in one sense. And Venus is what you want, and being in the 11th house also what you wish for as well. The 11th house has kind of got a lot to do with ideals, wishes, hopes, networks, friends. It's quite an odd house, the 11th house. And again, back to 11. So Al Pacino may have a thing between being with his friends, doing what they want to do, and doing what he wants to do. That could be something. I'm just looking at what houses are ruled by Venus on his chart. His 4th house and his 11th house itself. Okay, right. So that could say something. Definitely. Home and friends. What house is his 12th house? All right. Cancer's the 12th house. The reason why I'm looking at Cancer is because it's the moon. So we're talking about the planets and the houses that they rule. So the areas of his life that could be at odds with each other could be something like in relation to his spirituality or his screen in his movies. The 12th house can pertain to all of these kind of things. And then his friends, and his home life. So I mean, I don't really know like Al Pacino personally, but if I was talking to him as a client, I'd be looking at those areas. So who knows how that really plays out. Let's just scan here. Okay, okay. He's got the South Node conjunct the midheaven. So his South Node is opposite this point here. Oh, by the way, I'm using Astrotheme because they've got all the data. So if any of the data is inaccurate, it's down to the fact that I'm using the Astrotheme software website. And yeah, they've got quite a big database / data bank of records and times. So this is what I'm going to be using throughout this video today. It's not always what I use, just depends what suits the purposes of what I'm trying to illustrate. Okay, see 21 and 21 and 21 pop up in the chart around the top. 21 again. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of action around 21st degree for Al Pacino. Instantly think of the 21st card being the world. There you go. The world is mine. The world is mine. The world is yours. That's kind of like Nas, Pete Rock, but no, like in the Scarface film. See, when you think about these things and you can work, well, you can piece the dots together, just fly in like that sometimes. The world 21 is a card in the tarot, in the major arcana. It's actually the last card because the Fool is 0, which is the first card. So 0 through to 21 make up the first 22 cards of the tarot, which are considered the major arcana. And these numbers and degrees do definitely have some kind of significance or relevance that are beyond my capacity to totally translate. The reason why that is because they could have infinite translations, really, depending on the depth of level of knowledge you're looking into. As I said, I'm going to talk about time today, or time as it's established now, only in the sense of that we are talking about people's birthdays, and the day you're born is what you know as your birthday. But if you were born before 1582, it wouldn't be the same. Well, 1582 in October wouldn't be the same day as it is in time now. So when you look up historic charts, you have to know that anything that's proper ancient. I mean, I was going to make a joke about this guy's chart being, quite a chart from the time of someone that's really young. But no, talking real serious time and nature of history. If you do look up anything that's before 1582, take into account that the Julian calendar and not the Gregorian calendar is at use. Now, this information is probably going over some people's heads, because they don't really realize that this calendar has actually just been ordered by Pope Gregory XIII. It's another 1 and 3 and 4. But if you talk about the Mayan calendar and all these other calendars, there's quite a lot of other calendars that that run concurrently and they never stop running, that will always run. So there you go, you've got the Gregorian calendar and you've got the Julian calendar. So the Julian calendar is actually April the 10th today. Imagine that. So according to this, it's 13 days out, and I'm a bit confused like that. It's probably the leap years after all of these years and the fractions of days. I'm not sure, but if you check out the dates that I was able to find when I researched it, the 4th of October was one day, 1582, and then the next day, set by the official calendar to line up with everything that they'd proposed, was the 15th of October, 1582. So in my head, that's about 10-11 days. But yeah, it's accepted at this point in time that the Gregorian and the Julian calendar are out by 13 days. And if you do that in numerology, 1 plus 3 is 4 again. Hey, all the 4s. So boom. Jump back onto Mr. Pacino's chart just to see if there's anything that I've missed that was notable from my notes. Oh, right, okay. I've put 12th house Pluto touching the ascendant as well. I mean, this guy was known as in the movies, so the 12th house, the movies, Pluto being dark and underworld, the mob films being Scarface and Godfather and a good few other films actually, to be honest with you. He's played different sides of the coin as well for characters, but the most main notable ones that have led him to be known and will leave him to be known. And if you notice, the Sun is actually square Pluto and Saturn square Pluto. So, like, it'll go down in history basically, like, as Tony Montana and Michael Corleone, as well as many other characters. But no, the Pluto is actually conjunct the ascendant, just 4 degrees off. 4 showing up again. The Force be with me. So, with this being the case, I feel like that's why he's made his mark on the world and made such an impact on the screen, and so many people kind of wanted to reenact what this guy did in Hollywood. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, just to wrap that up. So South Node, I believe, was talking about before I flipped off onto time, conjunct the midheaven. South Node's talking about something that you kind of already got in the bag, they like to say, as a skill that you've already acquired and mastered. Something that you brought from maybe past lives or something you mastered early on in life. The North Node being something that you're trying to attain further in this life. So anyway, with his South Node being around the midheaven, I like to think that either from his past lives or from his early childhood, he worked out how to be a prominent character, and his Jupiter on the midheaven, well, 4 degrees apart, 4 again. A lot of 4 in this guy. Yeah. So, with that being the case anyway, it's something that he's talented with. Like, Jupiter can also talk as a gift or something that comes to you easier. Saturn's something that you work for. Jupiter is something that you kind of have given more to you, in simple terms. So yeah, I'd say personally that, you know, he had this down from a life before. Now it may have been notable or known as a star. And in this time around, he was meant to come in, and I don't know, it's hard to say because it falls on the, if you want to be technical, it falls the North Node I'm talking about in the 3rd house that talks about communication, short distance travel, your local neighborhood, education, early years, yeah, that kind of thing. Where's his Venus? So yeah, what I was noted as an astrologer, not that, well, yeah, I'm gonna say that on a depth of a level, his South Node, basically Aries, ruled by Mars, his North Node, ruled by Venus, which is both conjunct one another. It's kind of like he has a past and a future that ties in, so that can speak to why he was good at what he did, and why he has memorable lines. There we go, happy. Boom. That's our Pacino in a nutshell for the time being. Boom, boom. Back, and we just clocked the clock. It's actually 444, so it's perfect time to be speaking about this. 444 means 4:44 p.m. And I'm moving on to Ella Fitzgerald. And Ella Fitzgerald was also born on the 25th of April, but she was born. So yeah, I didn't actually say. Al Pacino was born in 1940, and Ella Fitzgerald 1917. I want to say, yeah, it's 1917. Newport News, 12:30 p.m. Yeah, definitely p.m. because the sun's at the top of the chart. And that's actually another thing, actually. When your sun's at the top of the chart, or even squaring your ascendant, like it was in Al Pacino's case, it's going to talk about someone that's going to be known. So, like, sun near the midheaven or acting as the equal house midheaven is going to talk about someone being prominent, and Saturn was there in Al Pacino's case. Anyway, Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald is an interesting interesting proposition. Now, Ella Fitzgerald, for those who don't know, was a jazz singer and performer and one of the original, how can I put it? Yeah, she kind of like the scat bebop like words. Like one way you could say she was styling it out because she forgot the words, but the other way was kind of like she acted as a vocal instrument. She used her voice as an instrument and could imitate, as well as Louis Armstrong, who I'm going to talk about, trumpets, other instruments that would be in the quartets, quintets, and just within the band and the sound. She's a very gifted vocal talent. And yeah, let me just get this right. So I'll just do it separately first, and then I'll bring Louis Armstrong into the picture. So as I've noted, 25th of April 1917, Newport News, which I think is it New York? VA. Okay, I think that's Virginia. So again, as I was saying, you've got the sun, but in this time, instead of it being, and it's thinking, well, basically, I know that I've noticed that this is Kazimi. Kazimi. Just checking if it's the same here. Not quite. Kazimi is basically an astrological term for when a planet is conjunct the sun within 17 minutes. Now, it's very technical, but it just means like exactly dead on within the eye. So like, bam, like a marksman. So when the sun and any other planet kind of line up, I kind of feel like an old 2D game here that we played there, and you know, we try to get past the levels and the sliders like a Sonic or whatever. So when the sun and another planet line up and they're within exact alignment of one another, that is Kazimi within 17 minutes, so to speak. And Ella Fitzgerald, in her case, has Venus at 4 degrees and 45 minutes, and the sun at 4 degrees and 55 minutes. So that's like 10 minutes apart. So essentially, to put it in simple terms, Ella Fitzgerald embodied Venus as a person. Her identified with the Venetian qualities that she so famously known for: singing, performing, and yeah, creative, artistic creativity. 2 words I wanted to put together. There we go. So, like, I mean, this bunch of planets, if you see me going around it here on the screen, that is considered a stellium by all means. I mean, if you want to say stellium by house or by sign, they're in the 9th and the 10th house around the midheaven, but within almost exactly 30 degrees, about 32 degrees of each other. That's actually quite close to the 11th harmonic. 11 again. Keeps coming up. 7, 7, 7, 93, 11. Oh! Yeah, he's a legend as well. So, yeah, this type molding of planets, you get a situation where you get the midpoints between, say, this planet and this planet, which is basically, well, sorry, Mars, which I've got here, and then Mercury, which I'm on there. The midpoint roughly works out to be like the midheaven or close to it. Just double check. Or is it the sun? So yeah, if you go 9 that way, you're talking 15 degrees. So I think it falls just about here actually. My math is off today. 15 to, yeah, it's the midheaven. Basically smack bang, give or take. The midheaven is slightly off because it's not 30 degrees. So Mercury and Mars, that's kind of giving her the strong voice and firepower that she was known for, added to the Venetian qualities. And then the sun. The reason why the sun's notable again, because just as with Al Pacino, Ella Fitzgerald is a Leo rising. so a Leo ascendant. This means that Leo was the sign in the zodiac of the 12 signs that was on the horizon at the time that she was born. And the signs shift roughly every 2 hours to account for the full 24 hours in a day. And in Ella Fitzgerald's case, I like to enunciate my words properly. Yeah, she has it in Leo, and I believe this is what makes her a renowned performer and known for also artistic creativity again, with the sun being at the midheaven. And in Ella Fitzgerald's case, let's see. Yeah, right. Uranus. So, why is Uranus an important element in this particular chart? Well, jazz music of all forms and variations and fashions, believe it or not, does have a structure. But the structure is like a loosely defined structure which allows for creativity and improvisation to be kind of harnessed upon, essentially, like creative energy that can be used. And you know what? Not just remembered, but just to say, the 11th harmonic figures greatly in my own chart, so call it what you will. Music being a passion of mine, and probably why I've spoke about a lot of musicians or people who perform stuff like that. So, notably, that you can see straight away, 23 degrees and 23 degrees. That's like an exact sextile. And the only thing that I've lined up is you've got 25 degrees there, so that's making a square. So what am I talking about? Aspects. So this Uranus planet, Uranus, potato, is opposite Ella's ascendant in Leo by 5 degrees. This is why I'm probably going to talk about Louis, because it kind of pertains to partners, the 7th house, and what you're also known for. It's in a sextile, which is 2 signs in this particular case, 60 degrees away, a 60-degree aspect. So it's 2 signs away from Mars in an exact aspect, and then 3 signs away from Mercury in a tight aspect again. And this means that Mercury square 90 degrees, so each sign is 30 degrees around the circle, and Mars is 60 degrees away. So Uranus is playing, and then like I say, across from the ascendant, is playing a bigger role in her chart than it does in many people's charts. In fact, if you do it on this program, it shows you what the planet's making an alignment to in some form or fashion, all of the aspects. So it's quite a serious player in Ella Fitzgerald's chart. But to mention also, you've got the moon in Gemini in the 11th house. Now, that's significant in another way. Keep going back to my 11th. 11th house being the Uranian kind of principle of networks, friends and acquaintances, which is someone I'm going to talk about in terms of Louis Armstrong, but also like kind of doing things your own way. Unique is the best way to put it. I mean, it's the Uranian element of like how you are in your element. So Ella Fitzgerald is most likely in her element around her friends and acquaintances, which could be of many variation because it's in the sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury, and the 11th house is also ruled by Gemini, basically. So ascendant, sun, moon, covered in Ella Fitzgerald's chart. Just having a look now. Oh, so yeah, let me go back to the notes. I wrote a good bit of notes. So yeah, I put the ascendant opposite the Uranus, jazz partners. I believe she actually married a bassist named Ray Brown briefly. So the briefly part, actually, the reason why I even wrote that down is because it would have been a Uranian marriage. 1, he was a jazz musician. 2, it was a short-term affair. So that's something you could definitely look at as a Uranian element there. Then we've got Moon trine Uranus. yeah, boom. So that's one thing that gets away from me in this chart. It's because of the colour of this particular yellow here. It doesn't stand out. So Moon trine Uranus again. This is kind of definitely somebody that is naturally inspired to do things differently and uniquely and off the cuff. Now, yeah, I'm getting into it. I find myself getting into the swing a bit later with these artists because they're not the freshest things in the sense of things I do every day. Ella Fitzgerald was like a proper notorious like freestyler, and there's actually material where she's famously forgotten the words to songs that she's sung. Try to remember the exact song. It was funny. Mac the, yeah, there we go. Mac the Knife. Yeah, listen to Ella Fitzgerald's version of Mac the Knife, right? Because she actually even bigs up Bobby Darin and Louis Armstrong in the song, while absolutely kind of mullering it, but making it totally like Ella Fitzgerald. It's just, I guess, like I've made a couple of slips and mistakes with this, but in true jazz professional form, on you go with the show, and there ain't no real slip because there's no actual official script when you improvise and you make it up as you go along. Now, that's kind of like some of the true sign of creative genius. So that's how you can kind of trip over your own feet sometimes in the course of going through the emotions. So yeah, there's quite a few things that she clocked on this chart. So she's got the North Node in the 5th house. The 5th house can pertain to the performing again, the Leo element, which is kind of a signature that's then repeated with the ascendant being in Leo. So then you got that, this North Node in the 5th house. The South Node being at 13 degrees Cancer is conjunct Sirius. So let's just check as well. Also within inside the 11th house in this particular setup. And that would pertain to her probably the connections that she had early in life versus her becoming a standout performer in her own right. So Ella is actually known as an entity in her own right. By all means, she's a legendary singer, but also has very notable works with friends that she's, you know, done music with. So just looking at my notes, but edit style, continue style. So yeah, basically yeah. Another notable aspect, I would say, or it's tight enough to be noted, is this Sun and Venus conjunction, or Cazimi even, is in a square aspect to Neptune, 2 degrees off exact, and it's in the 12th house. I feel like this is what gives her voice quality, kind of that mysteriously, like it just sounds like something that's on the soundtrack in a film. Like it's angelic, it's weird, it's spiritually just captivatingly. If you know Ella Fitzgerald, you know Ella Fitzgerald, and if you don't, get to know, like this lady was something in her own right in the sense of just talented. So and I love the jazzy, the skitty. That I love all that. That's me freestyling. Like if you want to know about freestyling, or you think those guys had bars who used to spit, do spit, still spitting, natural freestyle. Like you gotta check out the jazz musicians. Like they're the original. So yeah, it's talking about Mercury, Uranus being their ability to improvise on the spot. Mars, Uranus being some inspired action. And then now let me flick to search mode. See if I can do this. See how smooth I can do it. Yeah, that would happen. There's this. Bam. Right. Now what I gotta do this, and oh, improvising, having to make it happen on the fly. Right, there I am. See both charts uninterrupted. So points are what I jump to between the charts. So famously, Ella Fitzgerald performed with Louis Armstrong. Like, you want to hear Summertime and some of the other songs that they've done together. That's just one of the many. So, 11 degrees again, being significant. This is Louis Armstrong's chart. Now, Louis Armstrong, I believe the birth date and information with him varies depending on what source you look at and where you go. But I'm going to work with this because it's what is available to me at this point in time. And I believe somebody else would do a better job of sourcing the correct information if it is wrong. It's probably one of those disputed things like an American chart or a French national chart. So, you know, that is what it is for those who are strict and purist of the form. I'm just going to work with what Astrotheme has been able to give me. So what I see in Louis Armstrong's chart that really lines up nicely with Ella Fitzgerald's chart is the two ascendants are both at 18 degrees smack bang. So 18 degrees here and 18 degrees there in fire signs. So this is Aries. That's Leo. They make a trine. So if you see Aries in that chart, Leo there, that's the aspect that one's ascendant is making to the other ascendant. So, I mean, if you want to talk about trines and how they act in a kind of Leo fashion or Sagittarius fashion for flair, for performance or fire or just being able to move, that's a deeper element to how you can analyze the aspects that they're making to one another. Yeah, points of good note. So, I noticed here, Louis Armstrong is another guy who, like Pacino, is somebody that we more famously know as an older person, in the sense of that I believe he was working for many, many years as a musician, but he become known in his later years. I must have watched a documentary or two on Louis Armstrong way back when, but like what stayed with me anyway is obviously just the obvious things. We have all the time in the world. Forgive me for that, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, that's like infamously famous, and he was an older man when he sang that, and that's kind of like the poignancy, me and my word selection of that song, because he was an older man singing that song. Kind of has such a Taurian aspect to it as well, because time and nature is like, it's going to grow the way it's going to grow. That's some other thing anyway. That's me getting into Louis Armstrong and how much love everybody had for that guy. So how do these two charts line up in such a way? Well, according to this, Louis is a Leo sun, Ella's a Leo rising, so there's some affinity there. In fact, Louis' part of fortune is within the degree pretty much of Ella's ascendant, so I feel like that's a kind of lucky aspect for the two of them. Also, I noticed that the actual the north node on Ella Fitzgerald's chart is conjunct the midheaven, so I feel that made them destined to kind of work together and be known together as a pairing. That made timeless classical music. I'm using these adjectives because they describe the astrological, qualities that the signs. So like when I'm saying timeless, talk about Capricorn and Saturn standing the test of time and being long lasting, and even though both of them are long gone now at this point, can still talk about them, people know who they are and probably will do for a long time to come. And anyway, another point of note was talking about ... lining up. Check this out. Louis Armstrong, his north node is at 18 degrees Scorpio. So that puts his south node at 18 degrees Taurus, obviously. So, and I say obviously because nodes reflect each other. So the opposite of Scorpio is Taurus. So it's just a default thing. His own ascendant is at 18 degrees. His Pluto is at 18 degrees. I feel like you can't avoid talking about Nicholas Sternovich here, but like, I ain't got nothing to say about these people that relates to what he's talking about, so I'll continue. But I'm just noticing the easy aspects that are easy to spot if you learn astrology. If you look around a circle, a chart, a natal chart, wheel and you see numbers that are relatively close or they're exactly the same, they are planets that are going to be making some kind of aspect to another. Depending on how far apart it is, if they're considered major, minor, harmonious, or inharmonious, or creating friction. I won't say negative or positive because all things can be positive depending on how they're used, and all things can be negative depending on how they're used. So, notable in Louis' chart, he's got Venus. So singing is what he also became known for. In the 5th house, performing again, which is in the house ruled by Leo. He is a Leo, so there's more signatures of him being singing and performing. This Venus is also in a trine to his midheaven. So yeah, if you note actually, both ascendants line up, both midheavens line up at, you guessed it, 11 degrees. So you've got 11 degrees in Capricorn with his Saturn here, and then 11 degrees in Taurus for Ella with this bunch of planets here. I say bunch, you're saying Mercury, Jupiter, the Sun, Venus, and Mars by association. And then, like, here you go. What aspects Louis, Uranus making, seeing as he was part of the jazz connection. Sun trine Uranus, 1 degree aspect. I can see how this chart can work. Uranus trine the ascendant again. Yeah, these people were the epitome of cool jazz. Just saying, just is what it is. Let's see what else. Just to double check on my notes. Oh, so I noted that Ella's Pluto in the 11th house. Let's see. I'll tell her that. Let's get this right. Louis Pluto. There, I thought so, because I'm looking at it, that ain't right. Louis Pluto here at 18 degrees of Gemini lines up, fits tightly inside nicely with Ella's 11th house cusp. There we go, that's the words, couldn't get them out. And I feel like that's what made them close, very like have an intense friendship, quite possibly. I think that could be a significant aspect of these two charts. Let's see if there's anything else that's notable that I could have said about do. Oh right, okay, someone's got Mercury conjunct Algol, and that's someone's Ella Fitzgerald. Now Algol, fixed star in astrology, noted for its less favourable qualities, actually also has some quite favourable qualities and can bring someone to prominence and become to be known and do very, very well. And Mercury, communication, your words, how you speak. Now, actually, I've actually got to mention this because I must have heard this in something that I was listening to in regards to making this video, and it was talking about Ella Fitzgerald not feeling comfortable as a natural speaker, so to speak, but more comfortable singing or performing on the stage. She had that thing where she always felt like she was saying the wrong thing sometimes, and I kind of seen in the chat how that could come across. When you have Mercury square the ascendant as it does, like I kind of have in my own chart, I think. What you think and how you communicate it doesn't necessarily line up with your personality and how you come across and maybe project yourself. So it seems to put you at odds with what you're saying in regards to how other people pick up on it. Is one way to digest it. Another way to digest it would be kind of like how you think and what you do is slightly different. There's many complicated things within this math we call astrology. But I'm just saying that in a sense that I can relate to this aspect of sometimes I just like to do my thing without overthinking it, because like it can get complicated, and then therein lies the incongruency. So anyways, just swing across the two charts visually. Feel like I've got everything covered in their charts. So Let me smoothly shift back. There we go. Let me fix myself. Break yourself, fool. Break yourself. Try and do this without clicking off the screen. Can get away with that, I think. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's Louis Armstrong. So check the synchronicity out anyway. Here's the extra stuff. Louis Armstrong. Oh, by the way, shout outs to my nephew Louis. It's gonna be his birthday in just over a week. His first one, and yeah, chuffed for him. Absolutely chuffed. And just speaking to his sister. Shout out sis. Chuffed. Shout out mother sis. Chuffed. Shout out my other sis. Chuffed. Shout out life. Chuffed. Shout out the brothers. Chuffed. But yeah, anyway, it's about Louis season. So I went from this happened by accident, by the way, yeah, or not by accident. Tell you what I've done. You type in a name in the side bank, say side bank, it's a little search bank in Astrotheme to try and find or locate the person that you're trying to identify quicker. And in doing it, it kind of brings up a when I want to say shortlist, like auto select. So seen plenty of other people basically with the name Louis or Louis. I think Louis Armstrong used to like to go by Louis, and his name might have been Louis, but he ended up getting called Louis, and welcome to showbiz. But Louis Armstrong, somehow, Louis, all she ever talks about is Louis, has the same birthday as Louis Vuitton. Why? I don't know. So, what did I check out about Louis Vuitton in short? Well, got a crazy grand trine, like including Venus, clothes, fashion, designing, Uranus, different, unique, Neptune, possibly captured the world's heart, imagination, or vision through it. Saturn and Jupiter became very, very well known and went down long in history for doing it. Back to Venus, so that's a grand trine and a half. Oh, and then he also has Mars opposite Uranus and what do you want to call it, Neptune as well. So I believe that made him a little bit different. Can't speak on his sexuality because I honestly don't know. I mean, like, think possibly he could be homosexual, but I just don't generally honestly know, so I can't go that far to say. But his Mars is also in the 12th house, and I believe there was something about, I don't know, other designers have had this, when they get other people to wear their clothes, that's how they become known. So that's how, yeah, he may have gone about doing it, being behind the scenes. So let me see how this works out. 6th house, that's his 6th house, 10th house. Actually has intercepted houses here. So that basically just means that like the sign of Aries and the sign of Libra don't actually have any house cuffs in them. See where Scorpio is? Oh, okay, that can work. The behind the scenes shot. So Scorpio's ruling the 5th house. Mars is in the 12th house. So Scorpio rules Mars, traditionally speaking. Look where Pluto is. Pluto, yeah, I'm going for it. I'm having that. So design stuff, yeah, creating stuff. That can be quite a Leo thing. 5th house quality, I should say. Producing, making things. And Pluto, which is considered the modern ruler of Scorpio, is conjunct the midheaven in Pisces, 27, 29 degrees. But Mars then is also in square to it in Gemini, but in the 12th house, which is also considered a ruler of Scorpio, which means that his most famous works could have been by other people with him behind the scenes at the helm. There we go. That's Louis. Anyway, Why do I think it would be important enough to bring Louis into it, apart from the fact he got the same birthday, which is the 4th of August, by the way. For Louis Vuitton, it's 1821. For Louis Armstrong, it's 1901, according to dates given. Well, the transit North Node, which is currently in Cancer. Oh, by the way, on this one here, I always jump. It's the uranium thing, give me 11 degrees again. But the transit North Node in Cancer is actually going over Louis Vuitton's ascendant. Yeah. Now the French tend to record their birth times. I don't know how far back this tradition goes in France, but if this is accurate, then it's time to be speaking about Louis Vuitton anyway. It's meant to speak about him. Mars in Gemini, I'll get back to that because I noticed a lot of Mars or Venus or something in Gemini, and transit Mars right now is also in Gemini. So here I am talking Gemini communication, Mars quickly, speaking very quick. So let's just double check. Where's this nodes? 4 and 4. Okay, so he's a 4 guy, or like seeing the 4s come again. 12. Anyway, jumps from Louis Vuitton. I've seen another Louis in that list. Yeah, I've seen a few Louis in that list, and you know what? Day 27. So only right 2 and 7 happened to be the 9th one. And at the time, obviously, was researching people for the 25th. And this is why I got into speaking about time. The reason why I say that is because Louis IX of France, King of France, was born in 1214, I believe. Swing up here. 1214, 9 a.m. on the Julian Calendar. How accurate? I don't know. Why is that interesting? Well, it's quite interesting because, one, in his time, he has the same birthday as Al Pacino and Ella Fitzgerald, but 2, the same ascendant degree as Louis Vuitton. Yeah, so that means another posthumous, very longly dead guy from way back when, 1214, has the North Node transiting his ascendant. So it's time to be talking about him as well. Why is that even significant to me? Well, the time when I released my Mob Deep video, the North Node was at 24 degrees Cancer, travelling over Prodigy's ascendant. So, you know, don't know what's going on upstairs, as I like to say. But, you know, I just thought I'd mention these guys. So here we go again. Another Mars in Gemini. Now, transit Mars is round about here. He's also got Venus in Gemini. So I think this chart actually lined up with Al Pacino's chart. Flip. Boom. There we go. Mars in Gemini, 15 degrees, 44 minutes. And Venus at 20 degrees Gemini. And then King Louis IX, Mars at 15 degrees and 43 minutes. And Venus at 21 degrees Gemini. Like 1 minute and 1 degree. Like, wow. Like, these guys got something going on. Don't know what the alignment is, but that's what it is. And then another 11 degree situation. Oh, 11 degrees. I'm feeling this shirt right now. And the maddest thing about this shirt, right, why I'm even feeling it like that, is I got it off a guy that was born on the 11th of March, and his best friend was born on the 29th of July. Yeah, and they were together 2 and 9, by the way. What? 11? Yeah? And yeah, they hooked me up with this shirt for a bluey. Blue tie, 5, 5th sign, Leo. Been talking about performers all day. Synchronicity. I'm done. So, whose chart we on here? King Louis of France. Is there anything notable about this guy's chart that lines up with the time that we're in right now? Well, the Gemini alignment is definitely, and then his sun falls smack bang on Ella Fitzgerald's midheaven. So maybe that's why they've ended up being tied into the same video. That's a good reason, good enough for me. So Here we go. I noticed this before somewhere. Someone's got something's close to his. Here we go. So Louis IX North Node at 21 degrees. Get the word out. Libra. And I know it now. It's coming to me. This is Pacino's. Is this Pacino's midheaven and nodal as well? Let's have a look. There we go. So King Louis IX Sun conjunct Ella Fitzgerald's midheaven, 11 degrees, and then his south node is conjunct Al Pacino's midheaven at 21 degrees, and Al Pacino's own midheaven is conjunct his south and north node at 19 degrees. So pretty much kind of like a similar lineup to two of these charts. It's crazy because I know Tony Stark, that's what we call him, Ghostface Killer. It's sure he's got this situation of Mars, Venus, or Mercury, Venus in Gemini as well. Robert Downey Jr., that's who was supposed to do. Not sure how that video didn't end up coming. Anyway, that's another story. But I'm just having fun with it. So, I've gone from Pacino to Fitzgerald to Armstrong. So, Pacino, Fitzgerald, Armstrong, Vuitton. So, Louis Vuitton, Louis Armstrong, both on the 4th of August. Then Pacino, Fitzgerald, and King Louis IX on the 25th of April. And then, so the 25th of the 4th, the 4th of the 8th, so 4 again. And then me talking about time and why I'm going to stretch over to this particular topic to wrap up with, just to show you that although I'm showing you things, I'm still a student in the game, an intermediate, and the thing with astrology is always kind of going to be that way because it's an infinite subject. But yeah, I kind of realised, you know, I don't know, it's not that I don't know, it's that I've not had the time or the resources to really take it onto the high level that I know I could, which requires some more astronomical training, which is basically just the science of where things are and what they're doing, exactly as an astronomer, as well as an astrologer, and then the astrological, mathematical, like basically just old school doing it by hand, this, that, and the other. That's something else. But anyway, like I say, these things lining up, you've gone from Pacino, Fitzgerald, Armstrong, Vuitton, Louis IX, and then, yeah, oh, here we go. So before listening to this, I was talking about transit Mars in Gemini currently. Well, I don't know, I was listening to Rick Ross, and what did I find out? Oh, Mars in Gemini. Coincidental? No such thing. I was listening to a bit of Prince. He's just like the king of the Geminis. Even listen to Ye. Yeah, and then where their sun and their birthday is, this transit Mars is triggering it. Another crazy Gemini. I was listening to Tupac too. You know which one was actually crazy? Let's see. What was in this guy's chart? Oh, here we go. So, this is a guy called either Louis or Louis Prima. Now, he sings the Jungle Book, I Want to Be Like You, King Louis, yeah? So, King Louis, the guy's called Louis. I've been talking about all these Louis. Shout out to Louis, yeah, Neff. So, what happens with dude here? I see his North Node at 18 degrees Taurus. And my memory said this at the beginning or early on in this video. The North Node is 18 degrees Scorpio for Louis Armstrong. Now the craziest thing, before I ever knew it was Louis Prima, we always used to think it was kind of like Louis Armstrong or one of those people because of the voice. But no, they have nodal conjunctions south and north, smack bang opposition on the 18th degree. So talk about 18s popping up, 18s, 11s, 22s, all these numbers is everywhere. 13s, call it what you want. But yeah, so even Louis Premier's getting a shout out. This man's a Sag. Let's see a few things here, but I ain't gonna get deep into his chart. Apart from the fact that the transit moon in Aquarius is popping off around here, around about now. So that'll be making some sense. Saturn's gone over his sorry, Uranus has gone over his Saturn, but that's some next level stuff. And Jupiter. Okay, I'm seeing things. Oh, and he's got a 21 in this chart as well. 21 here. Like, yeah, I'm out from Louis Premier anyway. So let me dip from him. So, anyway, let me just take you all to school and to church. But do you know what? Yeah, that's right. Take you to church. Because these guys are from the churches and that. Pope Gregory the 13th. Where's he live? I'm guessing it's a church, personally. Or, I'm going to get into it anyway, back and whatnot. Because I'm not the most religious person, so I might have got the place and location wrong. Forgive me for that. But basically, the Julian Calendar, I can read what it says here. You can see it on the screen. Proposed by Julius Caesar in 46 BC. So yeah, this is for the purpose of the tape. 708 AUC. I'm going to start busting into what AUC is because that's outside of my jurisdiction right now. Basically, it was a reform of the Roman calendar. So the Roman calendar was basically not the Julian calendar, and the Julian calendar, which is basically in running now, is not the Gregorian calendar, which is this one I'm showing up on. Shout out to Wiki. So the Gregorian calendar is basically named after Pope Gregory the 13th. And I spoke about earlier, like the different level in alignment, them being about 13 days out. This guy's the 13th Pope. Ooh wee, 1, 3, 4. So from what I read here, basically it weren't him that created this. He's just the guy that was in power at the time and presented with it, and that he was presented this not by this man who actually initially supposedly created it, Aloysius Lilius, also known as Luigi Lilio or Giglio. Sorry, brother, I forgot that wrong. But like basically, like this guy was a time don, aka Time Lord. In fact, here's something to note for you keen astrologers and geek type people. There's an asteroid that you can find in astro.com, aka Astrodienst, 2346, and the asteroid is called Lilio. Relates to computer science, and what it says is an astronomer, philosopher, chronologist, Italian doctor. So yeah, basically these kind of things may be what you might have an interest in if you find asteroid Lilio in your chart. These are for the people that have stuck around to the end of the video with the little gems you can find out about yourself, or I may find out about you through astrology, because there is all sorts to be uncovered through what the stars have hidden within them. And then this man, Aloysius, Luigi, and I don't mind, I used to play as Luigi back in the day over Mario. Don't ask me why, but I did. This man had a brother, and I mentioned my own brother, so here we go, called Antonio. Boom. Which is pretty much my name, and the same name as the most famous character that you wait for it, other than Michael Corleone, Al Pacino played, being Tony Montana. So everything goes full loop. Me can't even see it here. Here we go. Lilio's brother Antonio presented the manuscript to Pope Gregory the 13th, who passed. It was passed to the Calendar Reform Commission in 1575. So all of this geekiness that I'm talking about, geekiness, call it what you want, right? I don't care. Well, but what's my birthday, or what are you talking about? Or does astrology have a premise? Time is not even real. Blah, 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 numerology, blah, 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 blah. Well, I ain't make it, yeah. I'm just a part of it here with you, enjoying the ride. But this is just what I could find in the short term, just to give you an idea of where time kind of has been reset to and from, and where we're judging at from the last 3, 4, 5, 82, 400, and yeah, so you're talking some 400 and change. In fact, I would have 82 brothers, 36 and 37, 436, 437 years since we've been running on this particular time date. So although I've been talking about these people slightly out of date, what is actually the date? Anyway, I'll leave that for y'all to ponder. This has been Ethereal Synchronicity, Tom, doing his thing. And yeah, if you want to hit me up for some kind of public consultation or anything like that, email me on esync444@gmail.com. That's esync444@gmail.com. Questions, leave comments, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, all that good stuff. And yeah, just what I shared: love, light, peace, blessings, happy birthday, Louis, all that stuff.